from Aviatra Accelerators. We offer coaching, communications, and community to help women entrepreneurs grow businesses faster and with more confidence. Today, I'm going to talk about how to get better at selling. If you're a business owner, it's a fact, you're going to have to sell, right? It might not be something that you love to do, but if you're going to stay in business, you have to sell your products or services. I recently had a conversation with the brilliant Lacy Starling, who is the CEO at LINK NKY. And she has had a long career of selling various things. So like she started in college selling a website service. And so she shared some strategies that I wanted to share with you that to help you become a better salesperson. So the first thing is to understand that selling does not have to be a scary, icky, high-pressure conversation. In fact, it can just be a conversation. So think of it as a conversation between, two people, like if you were to meet somebody for coffee. It's a conversation, it's a little back and forth. You're going to ask questions. They're going to tell you what their needs are, what they're wrestling with, what their problem is. And then you can share how you can help. So it's not like you have to buy this or, I need you to buy this. You need this. None of this shoving your solution down their throat, right? It's more, let me understand what you need to solve your problem, customer, and how can I help you? And it becomes a lot less of a pressure. It's more like, I have a solution. Why would I not share that solution with you, right? Like it would almost be doing you a disservice. It would be doing you a disservice if I didn't share the solution that I have to your problem. Of course you'd want to know about it. Now it's up to you whether you want to buy it, but I think it's really reframing the whole selling thing as just a conversation is really helpful. So that's the first thing that I wanted to share from Lacy. So there are three other things. So the next one is getting really clear on your company values. So why does this matter for selling? Well, Lacy explained to me that when you understand who you are as a company, so what your company values are, what do you stand for? Why are you in business? What are your priorities, like high quality or being really helpful or whatever it is, right? Like creating something that helps people, inspires people, whatever it is. Understanding what your company values are helps you connect better to your customers because they get to understand who you are. And if you vibe together, if they also have those priorities or if they respect those priorities and those values, then they're more likely to do business with you. And then you also yourself feel more authentic when you're talking about your business because you're connected back to that energy, like the reason that you started the business. Why are you excited about it? Why do you love what you do? And when you're connected to that positive energy, you want to share about your business and your products and services in a really joyful way and from a standpoint of service. And customers can really understand that, right? They can feel that when you're talking to them and you are truly, sincerely enthusiastic about what you do. They understand that, they can see that. So the third thing is to differentiate yourself from your competition. So of course, there's always competition. Your business might feel unique in your area. There might not be anybody doing exactly what you do in your area, but it's helpful to also think, there might, when a potential customer is deciding whether to work with you, they might be comparing you not to another business that does the exact same thing as you, but maybe a whole other solution. So our community manager, name is Courtney Terry. She owns a company called Tasty Love Baby Food, and she makes really healthy, fresh baby food. Well, when she was starting her business, there was nobody else in her area, she lives in Dayton, Ohio, who was doing that. So she was the only one who was making this fresh baby food for sale. But she realized that her competitors include jars of baby food, right? Like Gerber, that's a competitor. It's not fresh baby food, but it's baby food. And then also, the parents who make their own baby food, that's a competitor to her, sort of, right? Like they're not going after the same customer or this, yeah, like as she is. They're not trying to sell their baby food to another parent, but they themselves are making their own baby food, so that makes them not a good customer for her. Okay, so my point with all of this is you have to understand how you differ from your competitors. So that requires for you to actually do some research on who else is doing what you're doing in your area, even if it's not exactly the same. Who else in your market would a customer consider to be your competition? So again, with Courtney's business, she makes the fresh baby food. Well, a customer might think, well, baby food, Gerber and Tasty Love, those are the two competitors that I would compare as a customer, perhaps. So then you dig into what your competitors offer and how they differ from you. Maybe it's the company values that differ from yours. Maybe it's the actual kinds of products or the materials that they use or the timeline, like maybe you can get delivery a lot faster than they can. Maybe your customer service is better. So the point is you have to really understand what they're doing. And then you're going to make a list of all the ways that you differ from them. And then pick the top 3. And the idea of the top 3 is that you are looking at all the competitors in your market, and there might be competitors that share 1 or 2 of those differentiators that you have, but nobody will share all 3. So your top 3 are qualities that you have that no one in your market, no competitors that are in your market have all 3 of those. That's your goal when you're doing this research. Once you have that in your mind, those 3, you can talk from this place of knowledge and a deep understanding of who your competitors are. So when you're talking to your customers, you can compare and contrast. Now, obviously, you're not going to talk anybody down, but you can really help them understand what you bring to the market, what you offer them as a customer that nobody else can offer. Okay, so that's the 3rd thing. The 4th thing is understanding the difference between an objection and a buying question. So the way Lacy looks at this is a lot of times, especially when we're not feeling very confident about the sales, how the sales process is going, we hear an objection. We hear our customer say something that we take as an objection, but it actually might be a buying question. So the example she gave was, I don't see how this will help me, if somebody says that to you. That's not really an objection. It's more a request for more information, right? If you're like, well, they don't see how it can help them, I guess that's the end of that conversation. Then you lost a potential sale, because what they really want to know is, I would like to understand how this will help me. Please tell me more. So then if you had given up thinking it was an objection, then you lost that potential sale. But this gives you an opportunity to have more conversation. Maybe you ask your customer for a little more information about what their problems are and then you can explain how your product or service can help them. Now, an objection, there's a couple things to think about with objections. Actual objections, like I can't afford this. Now that one, pricing is often a stated objection that may or may not be true, but of course you can't call anybody a liar, right? So you have to assume that they're telling the truth, but perhaps you need to talk a little bit more about the value that you bring, so that they understand that for that amount of money they're getting greater value than they might originally think. But if it's an actual objection, a couple things to remember. One is, don't take it personally. You think about all the things that you have decided not to buy, let's say even in the last couple of months, something that you were thinking about buying, you decided not to buy it. Very few of those instances probably had anything to do with the person selling it, right? It was all other situations, right? It might have been that you didn't want to spend the money right then, or you had something else that was more important for you to spend your money on. Maybe you needed it more quickly than they could have gotten it to you. Like, so many different reasons. Maybe it didn't come in the color you wanted, right? So many different reasons. So when somebody objects and to your, to the sale and tells you that they're not going to buy from you, it's really important for you not to take it personally, mostly because it's almost surely not personal, but also because then that would really get you down and keep you from moving forward and selling more. So the second thing to remember is a lot of times a no is actually a not right now. So if somebody says, I don't have the money, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will never have the money. They might have the money later, or they might need to budget for it or save for it. So I think don't give up, I guess, is my ultimate message for you from Lacy. And also, you can do this. You absolutely can do this. It's tapping into that excitement that you have for what you do, the whole reason you started the business, and understanding your customers' problems and how you solve them. That's the biggest piece of selling. I hope this was helpful. And if you want to dig further into sales, we call it selling without the ick factor. There's a whole module for that in our From Daydream to Launch digital course. And enrollment is open for that right now. And so I'll put a link into the post if you're interested in learning more about that program. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.